Hello, my fellow fanfiction readers. This is Dark Symphony 777 with another fanfiction reading. As always, I'll be leaving a link to the story in the description. Please like, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, and leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story, whether or any future fanfictions you want me to read or review. So, remember when I did Kagome Loves Koga, aka Kiara no Uchiha, her story of Shishomaru's Too Sexy? I said sooner or later, I'm probably gonna find another YouTuber with a fanfiction profile. Well. Who do we have here? We have Applebend. I'm actually subscribed to the Applebend. He's actually pretty hilarious. I would suggest his channel unless you're like not into political stuff. I mainly just like Applebend because one, he's actually hilarious. Two, he's not political. He's not like too political. He'll just talk about a lot of stuff relating to common sense. And three, I shit you not, he actually looks a lot like one of my friends. I kid you not. He doesn't look exactly like him, but he looks a lot like him. To the point, when I first saw him in real life, I was like, dude, yeah? Daniel, do you make YouTube videos in your spare time? No. Because I'm watching a guy who looks a lot like you. Said, prove it. And so we got that. So I actually found out that Alphabet actually had a YouTube channel from his latest stream. I actually decided to join it on a whim because it's, most of the time when I do streams, I don't know. I mainly just decided to just do Kiara no Uchiha's stream, mainly because it's easy to talk to. There's only like at most 4 or 5 people. And she's fun, and she's just fun. She's just a bunch of fun. But I decided to do Applebend's stream. And then randomly he mentioned having a fanfiction account. And I was like, I'm gonna check it out. And I found this story. It's called Blitz Night. It's a Batman story. It's basically Tim, Drake, and Damian Wayne playing chess. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, maybe a bit more, but still not less. And it's a family suspense story. Alright. So, let's get started. Warning, this fanfiction, first off, the author actually goes through an author's note saying that the game is very detailed. So what I would suggest before continuing on with this video, you pause the video for a quick second, click up another link, and find a online chessboard. Mainly because there's gonna be a lot of chess stuff, and you're just playing everything. It's gonna be very, very detailed in terms of chess. I myself won't be doing that because I played a lot of chess, so I kind of remember like the letters and numbers and where everything goes. I don't know enough because of how fast it's going, but I remember enough of what pieces do and how they play and stuff like that. So I won't use the chessboard, stuff like that. But I honestly encourage anyone who's not familiar with chess to do it. He also says that the narration is intentionally slightly amateurish just to keep anyone who's not a fan of chess informed and entertained. So it makes a lot of sense. So I'm not going to be too complaining about the prose, mainly because he's intentionally kind of making the prose kind of weak to at least make the fact that all the information of chess at least seem entertaining. So let's get started. The day had been quite exhausting for young Tim Drake. He joined the Bat Clan for a reason. He wanted to save the city. He wanted to erase corruption from Gotham every time it pops up, either coming from his own company or others. Gotham City is quite the bitch city to take care of. It's like having a pet tiger. You're going to make sure the tiger is well fed or else it will get loose from its cage, and the next time you see it, the defecated remains of your loved ones are on his bin. Christ, that was a dark thought. It is. Speaking of dark, he had lots of dark thoughts on his head the moment the little demon popped up. Bruce had told him that he's a primary target of a Middle Eastern terrorist group simply calling themselves the League. The League? You mean the League of Assassins, right? With like Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul? And what an appropriate name, League, because this little bitch of a demon they spawned has caused them more uncracking nerves than OCD nightmare image compilations. That's actually an interesting thought. Huh. Whoever thought of spawning this household in the city should be castrated and hung into hell. He took those words back when he found out it was Bruce's own son. So Bruce Wayne, the billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne, somehow managed to bang someone who was tied up with a Middle Eastern terrorist group. Nice going, Bruce. After somehow being able to bang this random chick, this one hellspawn of hell is born. Somehow managed to get through Gotham City and cause billions of TV. Smithers? Yes, Mr. Burns? Eddie Grimmer here. Right away, Mr. Burns. To malfunction and show the Bat logo. This kid. The kid's like 11 and he did that all by himself. No freaking way. The kid's name is... What? Fuck? How do I say that? How can anyone say that? How can anyone say that? Ibn Ishfash? I don't even know how. God, it's just confusing. Ugh. Okay, so back to the story, or just simply Damian Wayne. Okay, despite Bruce's and the kid's mother's Talia, it was the League of Assassins, who was slightly brutal but surprisingly quite kind, insistent on protecting the little demon. He just didn't want to. He's an annoying little brat that just couldn't stay still for about a week. And thanks to the absolutely fortunate trades of being trained by those terrorist maniacs, he also had the skills to break locks and get out of any sorts of prison that even Bruce Wayne had struggles getting out. Worst day ever. At least Bruce didn't rape her, or at least Talia didn't rape Bruce to get this demon spawn. He didn't even want to know how the hell he could be born. Simple Tim. When a guy gets a girl pregnant, her belly starts to swell, her breasts get bigger, they lactate, she goes through permanent PMS, or I'd like to call him prehistoric monster syndrome. Apologies for any women who kind of go through PMS. It's just every time when I dealt with someone with PMS, they always act like a monster. So, slowly, the rest of the Bat family is accepting his position. Dick was a bit hostile, but he's slightly more forgiving. Cassandra didn't mind so much because Tim suspected that perhaps Damian had a crush on the mute girl. Stephanie was just the most mind-boggling. She treated the little hellspawn like he was 5 or something, and somehow she's the reason for all this loyalty mission started. Stephanie didn't even start off pissed with the kid. She just shrugged it off and said, he's just being a kid. He is a kid. I think. I don't know anything about Tim Drake or Damian Wayne. I know a tiny bit about Tim Drake. I know he becomes Red Hood. That's about it. Yeah, a kid who loved... Alright, so let's continue. Yeah, a kid who loved to swing his sword on random bushes and break locks every 5 minutes. He was glad that ever since doing his loyalty mission, he had been slightly less annoying, but his presence just irritated him. He was actually surprised that he came to him on the apartment and apologized. But he did not take that as a genuine offer and instead another attempt to prank him out. So the two just said fuck it and beat each other up to the death to the point where the entire apartment is wrecked into pieces and Tim had to stay on Wayne Manor for a change. That's actually kind of funny. Like, Tim Drake and Damian Wayne is like, can you forgive me? So I'm not falling for it. Okay, fine. You want to beat the crap out of each other? Sure. One moment that truly boggled his mind is when Stephanie noticed them both trying to clean up the place, face full of bruises and body full of scratches on either of them. Instead of being terrified or scared, she just smiled and said, "You guys are so adorable." What? Maybe that's because Tim just couldn't understand Stephanie. Maybe that's because Tim just couldn't understand women in general. Yeah, that had to be it. Tim sighed as he waited for his ordeal of herbal tea that could calm his nerves after everything that happened. Alfred popped into the living room and already brought his orders. "I'm sorry about Damien," Alfred said, dropping the tray of his delicious herbal tea. "But I can assure you that he is no longer the nuisance rapscallion that he used to be." "Yeah, you can say that as much as you want," Tim said. "I'm still not going to like the douche." despite all the things that happened. He said that he forgave you, Alfred said. Did you say that out of sympathy, or you just want to lie to me, Tim said. I'm sorry, Alfred. I just couldn't handle the boy. The price of beating Gotham Knights, I'm afraid. Alfred went out of the room slowly as Tim glared at him for that rather questionable sarcasm. He was perhaps right. He could have avoided this entire mess if he didn't enjoy the Bat-Clan. The boy that caught his head is now right in front of the door. He opened the door and took a peek on the boy genius's rather pissed off face. What do you want? Tim asked. I just want to talk and play something with you. Damien had something that managed to get the interest of the boy genius. It was a simple board game that tests the wits, determination, intelligence, and tactics of the players. It was a board game consisting of 64 black and white checkered tiles, 32 pieces of various shapes, like the pawns, rooks, knights, bishop, queens, and kings. He is challenging Tim for a chess. Wait, what? He is challenging Tim for a chess. The bad grandma is strong within you, Applebend. Sorry, I had to do it. I just had the thought of doing the Jedi thing. The grandma is strong. The bad grandma is strong within you. Alright, let me just get back to Mr. Burns. Smithers! Yes, Mr. Burns? Add another one. Right away, Mr. Burns. Excellent. I gotta do it. Ever since my friend said I actually do a pretty dang good Mr. Burns impersonation, I just can't let go. Chess was a game that Damien played with his mother. It was a game required by the League of Assassins to master. Despite being just a board with 32 pieces, it is not only a game of intelligence, but also psychology. It was a great way to train the minds of the assassins, both on strategy and tactics, which is true. Chess, if you don't know, is a very tactical game. It's actually one of the hardest sports in the world to master. It's easy to understand once you figure out how the pieces work and some of the rules. But it's incredibly hard to master. You have to not only figure out where you want to go, you have to figure out if you make this move, what is your opponent going to do, and then you have to constantly try and outplay your opponent, while at the same time try and layer moves on top of moves on top of moves at the same time, trying to figure out what your opponent's going to move, and then continuously do that. So it's a real psychological game. Sometimes when the members are bored or something, they might play chess for a bit. It's always a great game to play and a magnificent tactical assistant too. Sometimes the great minds can outwit those with brute strength. If there's one thing that the two proved during their fight last time, is that they're both just using their basic human instincts. Perhaps chess might be a great way to prove their worth. I have shown very well that I am capable of outwitting you in physical battle, Damien said. However, a physical battle for us is simply too much for the both of us. I want to see what you can offer with your mind. I got my Grandmaster title at 11, and my ELO is 2893. I was the highest in the world, but my buddy Carlson beat me because I'm not into chess anymore, Tim said. I don't mind losing once to a kid. Losing you? Smithers! That's what we're... It's just a punch to the face. I will surely stab you in the heart. The punch doesn't matter because you're the one who's going to die. I'm surprised you still have the thoughts of killing someone. Especially after that morality issue you asked me. Damien said, if it's you that I'm killing, I am most honored. Hilarious, Drake Damien. Damien gave him a cold stare before noticing his intentions. So, shall we begin? Damien had already prepared the chessboard. Tim hadn't opened that chessboard for, years. I'm just gonna do the number thing. Because I wanna speed this up. He was only playing it on his apartment, which Damien thankfully had the courtesy to destroy during his personal battle with him. Along with his apartment too, the chess pieces were made of carbon fiber, a very strong material that would not make any other pieces break upon contact. The glass were made of bulletproof materials. It was clean and transparent, making the game more interesting to look at. A very admirable chess set for a questionable mind, Damien taunted. I'm sure you stole it on a nearby museum. Very funny, Wayne, Tim said. I won that for the Grandmaster title. It takes a lot of winning and losing to get this thing to my hand. I'd be most honored to bring your painful memories of defeat back, Damien said. Playing chess is nothing but painful, at least in your head, Tim said. It's now like being a balloon hammered to my face. It won't be as hard as you think. I can't believe that we're on the same board on that. Pun intended. Damien sharpened his eyes. Black or white? You're challenging me? You play white, Tim said. Like I said, I'll go easy on you for once, so make sure you do your worst. Oh, I will, Damien said. Blitz? Oh, we're just warming up, Tim said. Take your time. Then let's begin. Damien opened with a pawn to e4. Tim replied with his pawn to e5. You know, if you're copying my moves, it's going to end very badly for you, Damien said. Like I said, I'm going easy on you, Tim said. I just want to know how you play. Just play serious this time. Okay, I'll up the game for maybe a %. Knight to f3 is played by Damien. Tim noticed his intentions of capturing the pawn e5, so he moved one of his pawns to d6, protecting it. But Damien did not give up. He moved his pawn to d4 to continue his attack on the pawn. Tim moved his bishop to g4, attacking the knight. That move alone made Damien to look at him with questionable eyes. I'm giving you a chance to undo your last move, Drake, Damien said. Believe me, I never gave everyone that chance to anyone. That's where your idiocy lies, my friend, Tim said. I'm just merely manipulating you. I'll let you prove it. Damien captured Tim's pawn at e5. Tim captured Damien's knight with the bishop as he intended to do so. Damien replied quickly by capturing the bishop using his queen to f3. Tim captured Damien's pawn at e5. Damien moved his bishop to c4, preparing a checkmate at f7. He definitely wanted to just end this game as quickly as he could. However, Tim discovered the killer move, so he moved his knight to f6, blocking the queen and preventing checkmate. The plan still continues. However, Damien moved the queen to b3. Tim secured the f7 as much as he could by moving his queen up to e7. That was at the time where Damien noticed quite the golden move, which is a queen to b7, but he didn't take it. Instead, he moved his knight to c3. That's odd, Tim said. You didn't take my rook. It's my time not to take you seriously, Damien said. You're not worth it. Suit yourself. Tim moved his pawn to c6 just to make sure that Damien did not make the move that Tim offered. Damien made a snap decision to move his black bishop to g5, attacking the knight at f6. Tim decided that it might be best to tear apart Damien's attackers at this moment. He moved his pawn to b5, attacking the bishop at c4. To Tim's surprise, Damien replied by capturing the pawn at b5 using his knight. He sacrificed one of his own pieces just for a pawn. Tim replied by simply capturing the knight using his pawn at c6, and Damien replied by capturing the pawn that took the knight by moving his bishop to b5. Check, Damien said. The bishop to b5 move also caused the king at e8 to be in danger. But Tim replied with the knight to d7. You're the first one to check. Congrats, Tim said. But you did that because you gave away your own knight. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made to prove a point, Damien said. In this case, I'm proving a point that you're basically destroying yourself. I hope that you got that point straight, Wayne, Tim said. I want to see how you do it. The game continued. Damien decided to castle queenside. Tim noticed that move, and he couldn't help but feel interested. Instead of a castle on queenside, he moved his rook right next to the king at d8 while also protecting the knight at d7 that could potentially be harmful. Still, that didn't leave Damien's array of sacrifices. Despite the rook protecting the knight at d7, he captured the knight still with his rook. Another sacrifice, Tim said. I hope this one is worth it. Tim captured the rook using his own, but Damien moved his rook to d1, preparing some sort of potentially dangerous counterattack. This was a time where Tim actually paused for a bit to think. He put his fingers right at his mouth, twitching back and forth on what move that he's going to make next. Beyond those fingers covering his mouth, there was a grin, a rather gratifying evil grin, that noticed the son of Damon's intentions. Tim decided that it might be best to just play along with his game. So for a random move, he moved...
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Mommy got your car?
Yes. He moved his queen to e6, also threatening Damien's own queen. You're going to die in 3 moves, Damien said. Who do you think you are, Damien Wayne? Yugimoto? I'm gonna beat you, Pain, in 5 turns. Because I'm Yugimoto, and I cheat! I know, Tim said. Just want to see how you're going to pull it off. Bishop to d7. Check, Damien said, not moving the piece and just crossing his hand. That's one silly mistake for moving the queen right there, Timmy. So you did find the mistake, Tim said. Wonderful. Therefore, blindfold, Damien challenged. Tim realized his intentions. The bishop move was another sacrifice protected by rook. Excuse me. Not only that, the bishop managed to fork the queen and king at the same time. Knight takes bishop, queen to b8. Before he could twitch, Tim realized that he made another sacrifice. This one was quite interesting. A queen sacrifice for what? He knew what it was for, and there was no way for him to move anywhere else other than the next move he played. Knight takes queen. Rook to d8, Damien said, crossing his hand and leaning his back to the chair before smirking at him with an evil grin. Checkmate. Tim smirked at one side of his lips and gave a slow clap. Bravo! You just beat the highest ranked player in the history of chess at move 17. While he was drunk off his ass. Nice achievement there, kid. So that's how you play, huh? This isn't fun, Damien said. I want a rematch. This time, use your brain. Be my pleasure. This time I'll beat you for good. The chess is once set off for another game. This time Tim played white pieces and he started with d4. Damien replied with a knight to f6. Tim played c4. Damien played g6. Tim discovered Damien's opening style and gave his comments. King's Indian, what are you, desperate? Just to be safe. Tim scoffed. You're afraid. That's good. I'm not afraid, Damien said. I just want to be safe. Tim continued the game with a knight to c3. So about that fight last night, Damien continued his King's Indian defense with a bishop to g7. What about it? You do realize that you're the one causing the most damage, Tim said, while moving his pawn to e4. Your stubbornness got the better of you, Damien said, after a move to d6. All I did was simply apologize and you didn't accept. Richard, Stephanie, Kane, Alfred, all have approved of my existence here. Tim moved his bishop to e2. Damien continued his move by castling kingside. I done my hardest to gain their respect, Damien continued. I done all the things that I could to help them. What Stephanie said was right. The league is after me, my mother, and the rest of the family. There's no time to compare strengths. There's only one teamwork, and I can't do that when the group there doesn't even trust me. There's a reason why I put you on the last. Your temper is blocking the way. Your temper is blocking my way. My bad. You have an annoying attitude. Tim played knight to f3. Damien continued with a pawn to e5 as Tim continued his rants. You're the one causing us the most problem. The terrorists are coming into Gotham City just because you storm in here wrecking my cribs. Tim pushed his pawn to d5, not capturing the pawn that Damien offered. I didn't, Damien replied with a knight at b to d7. If I did, you did. I only came to apologize for my rude behaviors. That's the reason why I didn't stab you in the throat with a bottle during the fight. Damien just couldn't find a way to get through his defenses and his absolutely annoying stubbornness that held him back. Tim continued the game with a bishop to g5. Damien wanted to push the bishop away by a pawn to h6. Tim's bishop escaped to h4. Damien moved his pawn to a6, preventing the knight at c3 from moving further. Tim castled kingside. Damien replied with a queen to e8. Tim asked a question as he moved his next place, a knight to d2 right in front of his queen. You're saying that you wanted to kill me. If you weren't my ally, I wouldn't have killed you right there, Damien moved his knight to h7 right near his castle king. All I wanted to win this war against the League is just asking you to be more than just an ally. But thanks to you being a hard rock on your head, I don't think that's going to happen. That's your answer, Tim said, moving his pawn to b4. You shouldn't have made a good first impression, and you didn't. And the first... Why is that comma just spaced? Well, that's like, what? The first thing that came to mind when you came to my house was that you're just an immature 10 or 11-year-old boy, or whatever because you're a grandson of a terrorist group. Damien gave him a death glare that he always got. It didn't always intimidate him, but it wasn't supposed to intimidate. He just never liked it when he kept ranting on about his attitude, and that really pissed him off inside. Damien continued the game with a bishop to f6, challenging Tim's own bishop for an exchange. I'll take my chances against you anytime, but I'm not even with them, so if you're going to beat me over, it won't help anything. It's just going to drag you down. Tim accepted this challenge and took Damien's bishop at f6 with his own. You're just wasting time. I don't care about how many chances you take. You're not going to have my loyalty. Damien took Tim's bishop with a knight to f6. Forever enemies then? If I beat you in this, how about a yes? Even then, I'm not going to give up. Tim continued his move with a knight to b3. Damien replied with a queen to e7. Tim finally moved his queen to d2, but Damien noticed his intentions on a checkmate at h6 that just weren't too safely guarded. So he moved his king to h7. Drake, Damien called. Whatever you think of me, it won't take long for the League to come and find us all here. Despite what you think, you won't stop me from saving my mother, my father, Richard, Stephanie, King, Alfred, or even yourself. Truthfully, if there is any reason for me to save you, because your friends need you, and I need them more than I need you. All of a sudden, you care about them now, huh? Tim said. I don't care. I'm still not gonna like you even if you save my house. Countless times. Oh, I'll be there to save you, Damien said. Doesn't mean that I'll like it, but I'll save you. Your friends actually gave me a chance to change. I want to be better. I'm going to need their respect and their loyalty to me if I want to stay alive. Especially my father's. That doesn't count yours because, fortunately, I love to piss you off. I'm sure you won't get another chance, Tim said. This time, I'll piss you off. The movements have been rather safe for the most part. No one bothered to go into each other's spaces. Only Tim was managed to get inside Damien's territory, and even then, it was only a pawn. Tim made his next move, a queen to e3. Damien moved his knight to g8, reinforcing the defenses of the quite threatening checkmate space at h6. Not knowing what else to move to check Damien's king out, Tim moved his pawn to c5, but Damien reconsidered his challenge for later and moved his pawn to f5, challenging Tim. Tim accepted his challenge and captured his f5 pawn. Damien recaptured with another pawn. Both really did not know how to proceed. Tim's next move took quite a bit of time to think, and Damien couldn't blame him. Both had amazingly strong defenses and well-developed pieces that they might as well throw in pawns at each other. Based on how I'm picturing the mind in my mind, they're pretty much they borderline pretty much stonewalled each other, which is actually pretty good. Although to Damien's dismay, the white pieces were more developed than the blacks, and Tim is winning in this case. The game continued. Tim played a pawn to f4 for a challenge. Damien accepted his challenge and captured the pawn, but in the process, there is a discovered attack to the black queen. Tim didn't take Damien's surprisingly protected queen, and went out easily by recapturing the pawn at f4. Although Damien did not take the piece at c5 last time, he took the piece right now with a pawn. Tim moved his bishop to d3, preparing a check. Damien didn't care for it and captured the pawn at b4, threatening Tim's knight. Tim didn't care for Damien's knight threat and moved his rook to e1 near its partner and attacked the black queen. Damien countered by simply moving the queen to f6. Tim's rook continued to threaten Damien's queen by a move to e6, but Damien made a move to Tim's territory and captured his knight at c3. Tim made a reply with a surprising move with a bishop to f5. Check. It's getting very interesting. You may have your black queen developed and possibly even rook, but you got no chance against me. This time, Damien actually shut his mouth up. There was a look of defeat as he scratched his chin for the next possible moves. He was right, there was no way he could win this. Multiple variations popped up right in his head, and he just couldn't see a good way to win the game on these kinds of chances. I'm gonna try anyway, Damien said. No use, Wayne. You lose, Tim said. Let's see if you have a better combo in your head. With a grin on his teeth, Damien picked his rook up and was about to take the bishop, threatening his king, but then he realized how dangerous it was to just simply take it with a rook. At least he thought it was. After calculating a few more moves in his head that seemingly took him quite a while, he put back his rook to its original position. Moving his king to the corner might help, but it only delays the inevitable. So he moved his king to g7 and into the fire of the battlefield. Wrong move, Demon, Tim gestured by twitching his fingers right on Damien's face. It was a face worth looking every second of. The way Damien bit his teeth up and clenched his fist. He knew that he was losing, and he knew that he's going to lose hard. You should have captured with a rook, my friend. It's just a delay for your loss. But at least you'll live longer. You can also stay in the corner, but you're too afraid to go there, wouldn't you? Damien bit his lips. He was right. He shouldn't have known better. Why did he miss that? Why didn't he do that in the first place? Still going by that move. Oh, so you don't like being tortured then. Fine. Works for me. Tim shrugged off and moved his queen to g4. Check. Damien glanced at the board. The look of defeat began to slowly rising as he began his phase of acceptance. The corner is a delay, but that's like being stabbed by a knife and getting the knife twisted over inside you. You just want the knife to get in your throat and end your life already, instead of getting tortured very slowly by the horrible pain. Damien is practically dead by this point, and so the only way to get this over with and end the horrendous torture would be a king to f7. Unfortunately, that's where the game truly ends. Tim moved his queen pieces all the way to g6, and defeat has taken over most part of Damien's entire body. Tim slowly stated out the endgame result in the most dramatic way possible. Check. Mate. Damien grabbed his head and leaned down to the back of his seat. He has felt many defeats before, but not by this embarrassing degree. He had beaten Tim Drake so many times in the past, even though Tim had beaten him as well. This one was the most personal, humiliating. Game over, Tim. Tim said, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go for a patrol and see if there's any trouble around town. I'll check you back at the cave. As Tim rose from his seat, Damien still froze, still on his own. As Tim rose from his seat, Damien still froze, still on his own. He just couldn't believe how much he had underestimated the young boy genius. He may annoy the living crap out of him, but he sure as hell had insulted his intelligence. No one had beaten him in this game ever. He has surprised those who have beaten him. No one has beaten him ever since. He has never been beaten for a while, and he took his defeat with quite the devastating outlook. Before Tim took steps on the way outside, he glanced back at the defeated Damien to speak some words. Don't take too long mourning your loss. I think I'm going to need you for patrol. Damien was quite surprised on Tim's offer. After all that ranting and bitching, and now he's just going to ask him for patrol? Sorry? I say we both go out on patrol, Tim said. I think now I get how your mind works. It was an amazing game, by the way. One of the best I played. Are you going to say that it's just because I lose? No, really. I really enjoyed it, Tim said. Even in the first game, you could have beaten me if I'm a little serious. A little. Not too much. Are you saying that to comfort me? No. Tim twitched his head back and forth a bit. Maybe a bit. But I'm still telling you the truth. I'm looking forward to more games with you. Just promise me not to die. I'll be leaving at 10. If you're not there, you'll miss your chance. Damien gave him a smirk and scoffing out loud. He couldn't believe it. The defeat might have been totally devastating for his intelligence, but he finally managed to gain the respect of somebody he truly wanted to gain the respect to. Tim Drake, the stubborn and self-centered prick who managed to piss him off in so many ways and whom he managed to piss off in so many more ways, and right now he's offering to go out together. Damien stood up from his chair and ran towards Tim. Why not? I'm going to be there first anyway. Oh, not this time. Both raced towards the elevator heading to the back cave. Deep down, they're still rivals after all. Wow, that's actually not bad. That's actually a pretty fun game. And finally we got some final notes of him talking more about chess and revealing that the two chess games were actually based off actual chess games. The first one was based off Paul Morphy and Duke Carl in 1858, and the second chess match is between Mikhail Tal and Bobby Fischer from 1959. That's overall. I actually really like that. I probably would have complained about the writing style if not for the fact Applebend actually decided to forewarn people that the writing style is gonna be amateurish on purpose. I would actually ranted a while, so that actually cuts out a lot of time on the video. There's 12 grammar errors, especially a weird one. Like why is that a comma just standing there like between two spaces? Like makes no sense. It does match the suspense because we're getting into the psychology and everything between two chess players. It's a family because they're trying. Damien's trying to see it as a bond. So I kind of like the whole take on it, like trying to translate an actual chess game to fan fiction. For it worked. I wouldn't say I would say that you'd have to to make a chess story work. You would have to be like as technical and psychological as possible, and still keeping some sort of suspense. But with Applebend here, it's fine for what it is. I would have to give it a 4 out of 5 on the scale. It's far from bad, but it's like if it wasn't for the writing style, which I know again he did it on purpose, but it makes me wonder what would happen if he actually, he just completely got rid of the amateur writing and just, kind of went full force into it. But it's still a good story. I still liked it. It still intrigued me a lot because overall I like chess. I think it's a great game. I haven't played in so long though. But overall, I don't see anything wrong with the story except for the grammar. I would have complained about the writing style if not for the fact, he told us ahead of time, hey, this story is gonna be bad on purpose, amateurs on purpose. Look at my apple pen hat and my face while I rag on about drama and stuff. I don't know. I just can't wait to see more of his videos. So that is my reading of Blitz Night. Tell me what you think in the comments below. So this has been Dark Symphony 777 and cut.